Yeah, that's the thing. It's just all dead, really.
All commodities. It's all like. He's a guy, didn't
That's wonderful, Rod. That just came over the loudspeaker there. Okay. Morning, everyone. Please excuse Rod Rocket. All right, let's get going here. All right, U.S. market, nice rally back from the lows as of yesterday. We opened quite weak. We had, U.S. 10-year yields that spiked yesterday afternoon. And really our market, the U.S. market was under quite a bit of pressure early on. I think the S&P was down at least 11 points on the future I saw at one point. And we've really just managed to have a nice grind back. Initially, we got back to just above flat line. We pulled back almost to the lows, and then we just grinded higher for the rest of the day. It's quite a good durable goods number yesterday, quite a significant beat there. And also, I mean, pretty much in line, but good. Jobless claims number as well. So you can see there most sectors across the board were up on the day, and some solid earnings beats as well. You still had a carryover from Facebook. You had guys like Starbucks and a few others that had solid earnings beats on the day. So just a solid day out of the States considering. Asia, we had some weakness overnight actually, so it didn't really get the follow-on in the States, and that's a little bit concerning. I think it's going to be something to watch out for today. We couldn't get any follow-through there. We had Japan, which is down 3% as of right now. We've got China, which is down almost 1%. I think the Hang Seng is up a scrap, and Australia is up about 0.25%, but mostly across the board, just general weakness. You can see, I think a lot of the weakness in Japan was due to the strengthening in the yen. We saw about 1% of a bounce in the yen, but we also saw that the Japanese CPI rose the most since 2008, which is really positive for them. So, I mean, obviously that's part of the reason I think why the yen is strengthening now, but that is a positive for Japan. So a little bit surprising to see such a steep sell-off in the index there. I just posted a little chart there of Chinese wage growth, and one of the things that I think the market's so focused on at the moment is fear in China, a fear of a hard landing there, a fear of pretty drastically missing targets there, and being a big drag on global economic growth. On the back of that, also being a drag on some of these industrial commodities and things like that. I think that's part of the reason why we've seen a lot of underperformance, even though numbers have been pretty good from the likes of Kumba and people like that. So it's important to take note of going forward. You can see their wage growth really has started to slow down. Still 10% wage growth basically, but you can see there from what we've seen over the past 5, 6, 7 years, it's quite a steady decline. So that just shows you that the growth in the country is starting to slow down as well. All right, we had Starbucks that was out after hours last night. It was a nice beat. I think they were up about 3.5% to 4% after hours. They also upgraded their forecast going forward, so they beat on the top and the bottom lines there. You can see Gilead Sciences was in line on the EPS number, better on the revenue number. Amazon was quite a big miss, came in at 40 cents versus 53 cents expected, and revenue was a small miss. And then this morning we had Anglo's here. Anglo's beat consensus was at 90 cents. We came in at 98. Those are US dollar cents. The expectation out of Standard Bank I think was at 95. And then revenue, a nice beat as well by about $500 million on revenue. Dividend per share came in line. Just some comments from the company saying company review well underway with more details to be released before year end. They expect significant capex reduction in the next 3 years, which I think the market would have already expected. So Anglo is obviously a good earnings surprise. I think it's really important today to see how we actually react to that. I mean, I think a lot of people were talking about good earnings coming today, so I think it was a little bit expected that there were some good earnings to come. for Anglos, but it'd be interesting to see, with people, worried about China and those kind of things, how Anglos can actually perform on the day. Then we've got AbbVie out before the U.S. Today as well. We've also got ARI that was raised to overweight from underweight at Barclays this morning. We're kind of continuing on the theme of upgrading some of our local miners as of recent, and we've got Investec going ex-div on Monday, so just keep that in mind. All right, very little in terms of market data today. We had CPI out of Japan, like we talked about earlier. We have consumer confidence out of France, which comes out in about 10 minutes, and then we've got University of Michigan confidence numbers in the States later. So very, very little market data today. Going to want to stick with the action. Yesterday we saw volumes pick back up a little bit. Interesting that market's kind of been fading, in the face of U.S. markets and European markets trading so well. So I think it's really, really important today to see how we can react after the U.S. had a good session last night for the first time in a while. All right, let's jump into the maps. Okay, first thing I wanted to have a look at here is Naspers. I'll have a look at the 30-day on Naspers here. And just shorten it up a touch. Obviously, we looked at this chart quite a lot going back a week or two ago. We know exactly where the top end of this range is. It's exactly at 800. We pulled back off at 800 about I think it traded at 800 4 different times, 4 different days. And you can see there, it's hard to tell, but that little dot right there is where we closed on Friday, where the finger on the cursor is, or sorry, on Thursday. This morning, obviously we had a huge session out of Tencent overnight. I think up about 4.3%. There were a lot of comments out of China. Gaming revenue sales up like 30-odd%. We also, obviously, I think they got a big boost because of Facebook, I'm assuming. And this morning, obviously that 800 level is going to at least be tested. I think it's just really important to remember that there hasn't even been one print above 800. You haven't even traded at 801 cent. It has not traded above 800 at all. So if we actually get a print above 800, I think this thing is going to take off like a rocket. And what I'd like to look at here is just the general projections. I mean, from this pullback here, from this pullback here, you can see, let me just take that off. I didn't mean to do that. From 770 to 800, that would project us up to around 830 on the breakout. If we go back a little bit, you can also see the dip down from this breakout here that was so definitive. And this is where we were calling the breakout from before, and we actually put a target on it at 840 from this breakout. So that projects us up to 840. So this little breakout here, from if we go above 800 this morning, would project us up to about 830. So somewhere between that range, 830 to 840 is where I would expect us to top out on Naspers on potentially the next leg higher. So just keep that in mind. That's kind of the target that we're looking for over the next maybe week or so. All right. Let's have a look at Anglos, seeing as how they had numbers yesterday. Anglos, the chart here is really kind of your classic pattern where you're kind of failing at resistance. I mean, if you really draw that on the closes, that's where the breakdown occurs. And you can see there we really failed to get above that. We kind of made a small close above it the one day. The next day we dropped it, and then yesterday we started to really make a reversal candle. Obviously we had good earnings out today, so you would expect us to be able to hold its head this morning. But this is a classic setup. If a breakdown of a major level, and then the first retest of that, those first retests typically always fail. There's a very good likelihood today that we could get all the way back up there and retest it again today. So let's just have a look at, we're going to look at that level somewhere between, call it 215 and 218. I know it's a bit of a rough level, but there's so many wicks and different closes along the line there. It's just harder to get an accurate level. And that's kind of where I think it could start to run into a little bit resistance, even if we get up there this morning. If we're not able to trade significantly higher this morning, then I think you can take that as a signal that this thing probably could come lower. So really important day to watch in Anglos today. We talked earlier about Kumba. We'll show Kumba here again. I know we've showed this chart a lot the last few sessions. I would expect this thing to get a bump up out of Anglo's numbers for no other reason, just by association. But you can see there how significant this 435 Rand level is. We've got down here. This will be basically the fourth or fifth day that we've actually, or maybe sixth day, call it, that we've tested this 435 level. The bounce obviously got smaller this time. We dropped this level. Our target is so much lower than this. I mean, I think it's a straight line to 400 if we drop this level. So if Kumba can't hold 435 today, I really think the writing's on the wall. This is one trade that I really stress that you guys don't miss. Like I said, when it drops below here, things could get really ugly for Kumba if it drops below 435. So just watch this one really closely, especially after if they do that today and Anglo's has had good numbers. We'll stick on the Anglo holdings, and we'll have a quick look at Amplat's here. I mean, obviously the holdings of Anglo's performed relatively well due to some of these underlyings. Amplat's a little bit better than expected, maybe Kumba a bit better than expected, and Amplat's is actually behaving quite appropriately and rallying a little bit off of this level. I mean, you can draw, whether you want to draw here at the wicks or at the closes. Either way you look at it, this thing's broken out a little bit above resistance. I mean, it's a very, very moderate close above resistance, but I think a close above it nonetheless. I would really look to this thing to potentially have a move to the upside from here. And Amplat's, I mean, yesterday you could see our market was under duress the entire day, pretty much. One of the better stocks on the board, along with Impala's, which I'll also show real quickly. And I'll just shorten this up a touch so that you can see Impala's. And same sort of thing. We basically closed right at, or just a hair below resistance yesterday at 96. We did trade at 96 for a little bit. We ended up closing at 95.40, and 96 is really, really well defined. You can see how well defined that level is there. If we get above 96, I would say conservatively, I would look for a projection of kind of this pullback. I mean, I think in a little bit longer term, you'd be looking for this type of a move from that sort of range. But I would say conservatively, from call it 89 to 96, that would project us up to about 103, 104 bucks. So that's the target price that I'd be looking at for Impala. If we can get above 96, I think we could easily get up to 103, 104 in the near term. So finally starting to get a little bit of a balance out of some of these miners. I think it's really important. Watch the likes of Kumba and those that are really underperforming. If they continue to underperform, don't be afraid to go with it. And the last one I'll show is stock out of London, probably all heard of, Rolls-Royce. And you can see Rolls continues to roll higher here and just broke out hard yesterday, above recent highs, previous highs, and also above trend line. So anyway you slice it, this is a big breakout in Rolls-Royce, and really kind of coming from a consolidation down here from about 111 to call it 112. So I think a good rand upside here from the breakout, which should put us up a little bit above 113. So let's have a look at that one if you're punting overseas. That's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.